everybody. Welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You're listening to episode 93, and it's the week of September 13th, 2020. I am your host, Drew. I am joined by Will. What's up, Will?
Surviving, man. I haven't said that one in a while.
How you doing, man? Everything good?
Yeah, it could be better. You know, feeling a little bit, I wouldn't say under the weather, but just a bit tired past couple days. So took today off and realized that I just kind of needed a good day of rest.
Sometimes you just need to just lay low and, you know, curl up under the blankets and just kind of chill. You know, maybe this is just your body's way of saying, hey, man, slow down.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I thought something was wrong, and I don't think there is. But after, you know, taking today off and just kind of spending the day in bed, which makes me sound so ill, I think it was needed. You know, there was a point where I kind of like woke up from this weird, like, dozy nap, and I kind of felt better, and I was like, you know what, maybe this is really it. Maybe I just needed to slow down, really kind of turn off the adulting, because I've been doing so much adulting, and since I would say August 4th, you know, ever since that.
Yeah, you've been going nonstop.
Yeah, just a lot of, like, you know, stuff that I had to take care of, you know, dealing with the car and a few other things in my life that everything's fine. So anybody listening, if you're getting paranoid that something's wrong, nothing is wrong. It's just, you know, there are times in your life where you have big boy stuff that you got to take care of. And I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I always find that when the seasons start to change over, my body is like, what the fuck? And I'll usually get like a day or two where like I just feel like just garbage, you know, like I won't be like full blown sick, but I'll just be like off, you know. And we're starting to feel that up in the Northeast right now. You know, we're coming out of I would say almost a brutally hot summer, and the past few days have been just typical New England fall. You know, like that nice crisp air. You're getting that summer like sun, but you're also getting like that breeze. Like I have my windows open right now, and the breeze comes through every once in a while and just kind of gives me a little chill.
Yeah, it's nice. It's been refreshing, no pun intended.
Yeah, it is nice, but I mean, I know personally, you know, my body is always a little like, hey man, what the fuck's going on here?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that allergies can certainly play into it, and sometimes people forget that temperature changes can actually have a pretty substantial effect on how you feel. Not just like seasonal depression, things like that, but also just your body. And that could be part of my my weird, unusual lethargy. You know, it's just
man.
You know, you get that feeling where you're just like, you know, you can feel it in your bones.
Yeah. I think we're just getting old.
Yeah, there's that too. Oh man, I'd give anything to be like, I'd say like 22. 22 was a fun age. Yeah.
I think, well, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I had a lot of fun at 22.
Yeah, I mean, like early 20s, I feel like you are hitting this point in your manhood where you just feel very alive, very healthy, very vibrant, full of vigor. And when you get to the old age of 35, you start realizing, man, I need crutches.
You know, I honestly, I wasn't really taking too good care of myself back then, and I don't want to get into it. Anyway.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, man. But let's plug our shit, and we'll get diving into our topics. We got a laundry list of stuff here, huh?
We do.
So check us out on the web at WDGRPodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. You can find me on Twitter at ScienceStorm. Will, how can they find you?
On SoundCloud, Will_Gear.
And I apologize, man. I know you've sent me like 2 new tracks like over the past like 2 weeks. I haven't listened to them.
Oh, it's all good, man. I think the last 2 that I created was Friday night. Yeah, I think it was Friday night. I stayed up late. I think it was till like midnight, and I wrapped up a couple. I did one that was kind of orchestral, and then I did one that was sort of, you know, podcasty or sort of gamey.
Cool.
And I was like, man, I want to do one more coming off of the strength of the last one. that I did, which was a selection screen. I was like, you know what? I got another one in me.
Cool.
So pretty proud of it. I'm hoping you'll listen to it soon.
Yeah, I'm just harass me every once in a while. Just be like, hey, did you listen to that fucking track yet?
Fair enough.
Because like my brain gets scattered. I get wrapped up in doing like a million different things, and my parents have been up my ass about shit lately, and it's just
hey, it happens.
It does. Like, for example, right? They've been having trouble with this television, and I helped them pick out a 50-inch Samsung 4K TV about 2 years ago. It was in January of 2018, and I know this because the TV stopped working, and I looked up the warranty on it, so I had to check when I purchased it, right? It started doing like this thing where it's like the screen like vibrates and shakes. It almost looks like a double picture. I don't know what the hell to call it, but it's not lines, but it kind of looks like ghosted lines, horizontal lines, in a way, and the picture just kind of shimmers back and forth. But other than that, like, it's a really nice TV. So I told them to like reach out to Samsung to see if they can have a guy come out and repair it. And my mom called them. I guess their nearest repair center is out in Long Island. She's like, well, this guy's going to charge me mileage and this and that. And she's like, it's actually cheaper probably just to buy a new TV.
Sure.
So instead of actually getting a quote from them, my mother just went and bought a new TV. So I was at her house yesterday, and I hooked up the TV for them and got it all set up with, the Netflix and Amazon shit, because I don't know how to do any of that. And actually, it's all my passwords anyway. But
dude, doesn't that, just to kind of segue in, doesn't that shit take hours? Like, you got to set like a day aside to help out parents with that kind of stuff.
Well, I kind of had planned it because like Nikki and I went to a gym class in the morning, and my mom had bought the TV the day before. So my plan was to get out of the class and then give her a call and say, hey, do you need help? And I knew the answer was going to be yes. And then I was just going to head over there. I figured it'd be like around noon or something. So Saturday night, she calls me and she's like, hey, I need your help. So she beat me to the punch. So I ended up going over and setting everything up, and it actually went by a little bit quicker than I thought it would. But then I'm like, you know what? Like, they're just going to throw this other TV out. And I feel like this is probably something I could try to fix. It's already out of warranty. So why not? Right. What am I going to do? Break it?
Yeah.
It's already broken. So I took it home with me. I started looking up YouTube videos, and I haven't tried this yet. I'm hoping that by the time we record next week, I'll have attempted this. But I've seen some people that have taken apart there's like a ribbon cable that connects one motherboard to another. There's like two main boards in the back or something. One's for the LCD and one's for like the actual TV itself. And I guess you could take like a piece of Scotch tape and cover up some of the pins on this ribbon cable, and automatically it fixes it.
Interesting.
So if that works, I will have a 50-inch 4K television in the game room.
Ooh.
In the GameStop.
Ooh.
We'll take the Samsung 1080p TV that I've had for, 8 years. Rotate that into the bedroom. That's a 46-inch. It's a great TV. The thing has served me very, very well. But if I can get a 4K in the GameStop, why not, right?
Sure.
So fingers crossed. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, then I'm responsible for getting rid of this thing. And that's going to suck.
Oh, God. I hate being like stuck with something that's like not easily recyclable, or you can't dispose of it. I hate being in that situation because I'm not educated in how to throw out certain things, but there are just certain things that I've come across in my life where I'm like, how do you get rid of this? And I've actually Googled it.
I mean, like, I've been irresponsible in the past with some items, and just thrown them in my garbage can. I got like one of those gigantic garbage cans, and they have the truck that comes by with the fucking forklift on it that lifts it upside down and shakes it out. Like,
oh yeah.
A human being does not touch my garbage can once it makes it to the curb.
Same.
Right. So I have no shame about putting stuff in there, except for the environmentally, negligent side of it.
Sure.
So I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe, well, the TV's not going to fit in there. Like, it's a 50-inch TV. That garbage bin is not that big.
No.
But there's a recycling center, in town. It's like our, town dump. And I have to do the research and see if they accept electronics. Otherwise, I have no idea.
I actually went to Best Buy recently. I want to say like probably a couple weeks ago, and I was trying to get rid of Lauren's old college MacBook and an iPad mini, and they actually weren't accepting any of them. Normally they have like this recycling program where you just go and you dump them in like one of those slots.
Yeah.
Or you go up to customer service and they'll actually physically take it from you, and then they bring it to the back room, and then you just like leave. But when I went, there was like security guards that were like, "Hey, you here for Geek Squad?" And I'm like, "Nope, just here to recycle." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, we're not doing that anymore." And I was like, "Is that?"
I wonder if it's because of COVID.
It is, and I think it's because they don't want to accept something from like an outside household, which I totally understand. So that was kind of disappointing, and I ended up just throwing them in the trash. I think it was the trash or the recycle bin. I was like, well, the least I can do is toss it in the recycle bin. But yeah, it's sometimes hard getting rid of stuff.
I'm actually considering giving them a call, Geek Squad, if I'm not able to repair the TV myself. But I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons of what that might cost. If it's like $150, sure. Like, I think that's probably worthwhile. Anything over that, I might as well just buy a new TV.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that we have such a disposable society. Samsung is allegedly one of the best TV manufacturers in the world, right? They're certainly one of the largest. And they're just making TVs that are just disposable.
This is making me want a 4K TV like more.
Well, I got one in my basement.
I'm looking at Lauren, and she's literally waving her finger at me.
Oh my God, she's gonna kill you.
She gave me the no. That's funny. We probably won't do it at all because our TV is still really good, and the only reason I'd really get it is probably for the PS5, just so I can max stuff out.
Right.
And the occasional Ultra HD Blu-ray, which I only have like one of. So
right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it would just be probably a novelty thing. So unless my TV breaks, I won't be getting 4K.
I will say that the PS4, the base model, which is the one you have, right? You don't have the Pro.
I do not have the Pro.
The base model does support HDR, which to the best of my knowledge is only available on 4K TVs.
Yes, I believe so.
I noticed an immediate difference in the quality of the picture when I hooked the PS4 up to the 4K television.
No, I believe
and
that.
when I moved it into the game room, so we could do Fall Guys, the HDR was immediately turned off because this TV doesn't support it. Now, granted, we played Fall Guys, so I didn't really notice a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to fire up a game like Horizon or The Last of Us, I guarantee you I'll see it immediately.
What I'd like to see is to actually see it. I know that sounds so funny, but I've actually not had the pleasure to witness a pro on a 4K system playing a 4K compatible game or a game that is made for the pro. Like MGS5 or Last of Us 2, like any of those games, God of War. I just want to be able to see. I want to see the difference. Yeah. And going on YouTube is helpful, but we all know it's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at all the Digital Foundry videos you want, and they'll give you an indication, but it's not going to be the same as, sitting down in front of it, in front of your eyes, completely different.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility if friend of the show, Dave, Epic Outro, gets his hands on a PS5, he had mentioned to me that he'd be looking to sell his Pro. So that might be something that I'll be taking advantage of if he ends up getting his hands on one, because then I could put the Pro in the living room, because I'm not going to buy a PS5 at launch. I'm going to hold off.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll have the Pro in the living room, and I'll have the base model in the GameStop. And, now I have the PS Plus subscription. I can play the games on both things, and it'll, cloud save and all that fun shit.
Good. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
So, man, other than that, the GameStop, I've been doing some work in there today. Been a very productive person today.
Well, I can tell, man. Narnia is it's looking a lot better.
So, I mean, I still kind of feel like I'm in this mode where I'm just kind of moving one pile to a different corner, organizing the pile, and then moving the pile back. You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of like when you have like a large mess that you're going through, it's just kind of moving piles around till you can organize the pile and then kind of situate the pile in the spot that you want the pile to end up, right?
Oh, you gotta love those moments where you just feel like you've accomplished nothing.
Well, today definitely feels like one of those until like I kind of put everything back, and there's absolutely a difference in the room.
Oh, 100%.
I still have, so I filled up 4 of the 6 crates that I bought. And I could probably pack them a little bit more tightly, but I'm trying to organize them in a way where certain things are in certain places and they're kind of grouped together logically. So, for example, I have one bin that just has computer parts in it, right? And I have a lot of USB cables in that bin. I have Ethernet cables in that bin. I have my Steam controller and my Steam Link in that bin, as well as a hard drive dock. So stuff that's, when I say, gee, I need my hard drive dock, I'm going to know what bin it's in. It's in the bin with the computer stuff.
Sure.
And then I set up a bin. I have 2 Nintendo Wiis and 80 billion controllers right now for the Nintendo Wii. So, well, because my buddy Brad gave me one, and I'm pretty sure he had, when he gave me his, he had I think he had the Pro controller, and he had at least 3 sets of Wiimotes and sticks. I don't know if he had 4, but he had at least 3. And then I got that one from our friend Vincey's sister, right? Their kids, they were going to throw it out, and he gave me that. And they had like 1 billion controllers too. So now I have I literally have a bin full of Wii nunchucks. It's just literally just only the Wii. That's all that's in there. Is two Wiis with their wires and a bunch of Wii controllers.
I feel like that happened to a lot of Wii owners, though. Like every Wii owner I've met always seems to have 1,000 controllers and accessories. Well,
you get those games that they're like party games, right? So you want to get more than one, so that when you have your friends over, you get a game of 4 things going. Mm-hmm. But then you need the nunchucks, and now you got to buy 4 nunchucks, and before you know it, you have 8 controllers.
Yeah,
essentially.
And then you've got one of those Wii pads too, with Coca-Cola can stains on it.
Yep. And then you have the grips. You have the grips for the Wii. And then if you ever bought Mario Kart, you got the wheel for the Wii, because nobody wants to turn a controller sideways. You want to turn a wheel, and that makes it better, right? Mm-hmm. So here you have the system with the most peripherals ever. So that's in a bin. What else? Oh, I back to my parents, they've been kind of cleaning out the house and everything. They're in the mindset of trying to sell the house within the next couple of years. So they're going through little by little and basically giving me all of their shit. And one of the things that I actually did want from them was the Atari that I had played when I was a child. Mm-hmm. So I have their Atari 7800, which comes with controllers, and they also had a 2600. So I got all the controllers with that and all the games with that. So I took all of the Atari controllers that they gave me, combined them with all the ones that I had from a sale that I did before we even started recording the podcast, combined that with my Coleco controllers. All of those are in one bin. So now they're not just scattered everywhere. It's a lot more organized. And it's starting to all come together, right? And I have so much more I still need to do, but I'm starting to get excited about the process.
That's good. I mean,
yeah.
It's good and bad when your parents give you stuff like that, because there's always things that you want to weed through, and you get the things that you want, and you get a bunch of stuff, you're like, shit. But you can't really say no because like you got to understand their situation too. And sometimes it's like, you know what, Drew, this stuff's been sitting in my attic for 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
I don't know why I gave your dad that accent, but I did. So sue me. 5
he does
fucking
not sound
years.
It's fine. But yeah, it's weird because I think with them, like, they would just, I don't know. Like, I feel like he would just take it to the dump.
Yeah.
You know, like, he wouldn't even try to find, like, he wouldn't even bring it to Goodwill. He would just throw it away.
Mm.
And, like, that's the part that breaks my heart the most. Like, yeah, there's certain stuff that's garbage, but there's certain stuff that you can find a new life, right? And, like, for me, you know, if I'm ever in a position where I'm going to start getting rid of these games, I'm going to try to sell them. And then if that doesn't work, I'll donate them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to throw them away.
Yeah, you're going to max out your chances of what you can actually do with them.
Right.
No, it's completely fair.
But I will say, you know, I'm looking at that shelf of those Wii games that I got, and there's some shovelware on that list there, and man, I might be making that trip to Goodwill pretty soon.
No, it's like what I said before. It was really nice to see 3 boxes stacked up neatly in that closet, and I could see in the closet.
There's 4 now.
Okay, well, even better.
So I've added to that mix, but I'm running out of bins. I'm going to need to get more of those because I could literally fill that closet with those bins. Those things fit nice.
I feel like I had like this weird twinkle in my eye, like proud co-host moment where I was like, attaboy.
I did it because of you, Dad.
I was like, my man, you know, like he's got the boxes stacked, and you got the boxes that normally you want to huck tools in, and you could see like the little cutout where you go to stack it, and I was like, man, that looks good.
Yeah.
You know, when you get to our age, it's all about organizing things, and you create a day out of it, so it's satisfying. It's like one of those, put your hands on your hips moment, say, attaboy.
Well, it's kind of funny because, I've been trying to keep everything so organized, and I almost bought a label maker. Hey, man.
I would have made fun of you, but at the same time, I would have been like, dude, that's pretty sweet.
Well, because I wanted to make it like nice and neat and everything, but I have like this gigantic roll of like 2-inch masking tape. So I just been handwriting on the masking tape. I just took a big piece of it, put it on the side of the thing, and just handwriting on it. But I was literally on Amazon earlier today looking at label makers. I'm like, oh man,
dude, it's not a bad idea.
This would be so sexy.
Like one of those brother ones, like little P-touch things.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
I used to use those in retail, and they're really good for those kind of atmospheres. But I think with those boxes, you're limited to some form of sticker, or you'd have to use a label maker, or you could buy like those little, like maybe 3M or something makes them, like the little label, like clear window things that you'd put on there first and then put the label in that. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Like one of those clear plastic sleeves, sort of, that you put, it's like a hard plastic, and you would put that on the box, and it's like a little slit, and then you would be able to put like a thin piece of like construction paper that has like, say PS4 games written on it, and then you just slide that in. So that's an option as well. But in your case, since there isn't like really a designated spot for a label, you're doing pretty much the best you can. The label maker is probably going to be the best way to go.
It'll certainly look the nicest, but at the end of the day, like, it's sitting in a closet, and the masking tape will be sufficient.
Yeah, masking tape is good. It's good tape.
I'm the only one that's going to look at it. Nikki's never going to touch those.
Yeah, and your friends aren't going to be like, well, dude, you should have used a P-touch,
I feel like that's something you're going to say to me now.
Well, now that I know, yeah. I'm probably going to say like a year from now, we'll be like, never got that P-touch, I see, huh? Anyway.
Exactly. Oh, man. So that's where I'm at right now.
Good.
What's up with you, man? You got Skyrim on this list. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so yesterday, I think I mentioned already, I kind of spent the day in bed, and today I kind of did the same, just feeling kind of dumpy. And I was like, well, I don't really want to watch Netflix, so I'm just going to throw on YouTube and just watch some like random stuff. And I forgot about the series called Curating Curious Curiosities. Say that 5 times fast. And
Nope.
yeah, exactly. And I had discovered this series on YouTube actually quite some time ago when I was playing Skyrim, and I wanted to look up some research on, or I was doing some research on this one particular area in the game called Blackreach, which I've definitely mentioned on the show before. And I decided to watch the rest of these videos that this dude, I think his name's Camel or Camelworks, that's his name on YouTube, and he has this series called Curating Curiosities, and it's amazing. And some of the videos are anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours in some cases, where he basically breaks down one particular province or area in the game. So let's take let's just take oh my god, I'm blanking. Whiterun, for example, or the Rift. He might do a video on Whiterun, and it could be an hour of him just talking about like all these little secrets, lore, what you can do, items, people that you meet. And it's incredibly boring to an outsider that knows nothing about Skyrim. Like, Lauren yesterday was like, dude, seriously, with the videos? Like, are you going to watch something else? And I was like, nope.
No!
Yep. So I kept going, and it was rekindling that love that I have for Skyrim. And I was like, come on, Will, like, you're playing Child of Light. You're slacking in Sekiro. You're slacking in Ghost of Tsushima. You're starting to fall behind again and veer off. And I was like, you know what? Listen to Drew, listen to Tom. Sometimes it's okay to do that. And Child of Light is not going on the back burner. I'm still staying with that. But I think I am going to make this return to Skyrim because of this video series.
Okay.
And it's really just because I haven't forgotten how much I love the game, but this video series is so good. It's like documentary quality that I was like, man, I just want to go back. I want to go back. I want to get lost in there. I want it to become one of those things that I start doing more often, because since I have been adulting so much, I haven't had a chance to do the complete opposite and just bury myself into a game like after work kind of religiously. And I feel like now might be the time to start doing that a little bit more, because I've been doing so much other stuff that I think something in my psyche is just like, dude, you gotta, it's time to turn that shit off for a while and bury yourself in a game. Keep playing Child of Light, but get yourself buried in something else as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know when, probably potentially tonight, depending on how I feel. If not, certainly this week, I will be reinstalling the game and picking up where I left off in my Vampire Lord escapades. So
to me, that game just seems like it's like your security blanket.
It is. I think, when I have moments in my life where I just want to kind of escape, or if I just want to get lost in something, I feel like it's absolutely a go-to. You can't get lost in Metal Gear. You can't get lost in Asura's Wrath and all these games that I've talked about so many times. Those are special games, but in order for me to really transform into Vampire Lord, then, last joke, I promise, then that is the game that must be played. And the more I think about it, and when I was watching these videos, I'm starting to think that it really might be my favorite game ever made. And I want to say I've said that before, but I'm really starting to think that as much as I love these other games, which is basically like a handful of maybe 8 that I've brought up so many times, I think Skyrim is always going to be the closest to my heart, and there's still a part of me that wants to be able to play it the best way possible. And what I mean by that is I actually did some research on what is the best way to experience that game. Is it on PC? Is it the Legendary Edition? Is it with mods? I looked up all this different research in Reddit threads and just everywhere on the internet, and it seems like everybody has a slightly different opinion. But I think there's going to be some point in my life where I probably will venture back to the PC side of things and get a PC that's good enough to run pretty much any game at max settings, just so I can experience that game at full capacity. Because I just want to do that. If it's not that route, then I'll probably wait for PS5 or get like a Pro or something, and then get 4K, and then that will be my cream of the crop experience with Skyrim.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many mods that are available for that game too. Like, I feel like if you were to go into the PC side of things with that, it would be basically your never-ending story.
Yeah, I mean it's almost kind of frightening to think of like how
Sure.
good it could be, as well as the rabbit hole of the mod world. Because I'm not an expert in playing mods or installing them or anything. I get very nervous.
It's a
Everybody knows.
lot. It's a lot easier than it used to be.
I'm sure it is. And
Yeah.
as you know, I'm kind of like a stubborn bastard when it comes to things I don't know.
Yeah.
So, exactly. Be the first person to admit to that. I am so fucking stubborn. But if I learn how to do it, then that
Mm.
stubbornness just vanishes. So I think that I'd like to maybe start dabbling with mods on the PS4 because that is possible. I think they're kind of like pre-installed on the game. You just have to like load them. That came with the special edition. But
Mm.
I'd like to, at some point in my gaming career, like really give them a full chance.
Yeah.
And because there are some pretty amazing mods out there for Skyrim that will change water effects and foliage and sometimes just loads totally different textures and atmospheres. So I think that's going to be next level Skyrim experiencing for Will.
Yeah. I wonder if I mean, I just look really quick to see if it's something that's available on a Mac, and I guess it's really. Well, hold on.
Well, the interesting thing is Skyrim Vanilla and Skyrim. Yeah, I think it's just Skyrim Vanilla and then Skyrim Legendary Edition, which I have.
Mm.
Those actually play very well on low-end PCs. I want to say they're actually, those two versions are optimized to run on almost anything. So at
Mm.
one point I was playing Skyrim on my iMac and it was running quite well. It was
Mm.
on low settings, but it still looked really good. And then
Yeah.
when the special edition came out in 2016, I believe, they were giving that version to Steam players for free. Like if you already had
Oh.
Skyrim Legendary or whatever,
Yeah.
you could upgrade to the special edition for free. And I did that, and then I couldn't run it for shit because the special edition is quite an overhaul with
Uh,
textures, and they did sort of like a remaster to it. So
I
I couldn't
I
run
did
it.
find a Reddit thread from about 7 months ago, and the top comment is, "I just went ahead and installed Boot Camp and partitioned my hard drive, all for Skyrim. 100% worth it."
Sounds like me. That sounds like I
Yeah,
wrote that.
it does. Even though you just like uninstalled Boot Camp.
I did.
So.
I did.
Uh,
But yeah, man, I love that game. Someday I think I'm gonna do like a WCG again, or I'm gonna like redo the one that I did because I feel like I didn't give it enough.
mm,
It's really hard for me to explain how much I love that game in over the mic. I think I'd
mm,
have to have like an enormous amount of notes to really explain it. But there was a video I shared on social not that long ago about the game. It was actually from PlayStation Access, a channel that I've mentioned before that I really dearly love. And
mm.
the guy explained it very well. And I shared it because I was like, all right, this guy is speaking my language with this game. I can't form these kind of sentences without, taking some time to really hash it out. But
Mhm.
man, I it still surprises me that I love the game because it's such a popular game, and I'm not so much of a popular game player. But I'm glad that I took that step back in 2011 to give it a chance, because if I didn't, I'm not sure if I would have ever got to it.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah, that's
I
what's
don't.
on the docket for me.
Cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your Vampire Lord stories again.
Yeah, if my mission is to juggle Skyrim and Child of Light. If I can do that, fairly seamlessly, I think I'm going to have some good content to bring to the show every week.
Yeah. Child Delight's short, Like, I think if you put in 5 to 7 nights of, like, couple hours each night,
Yeah.
you'll have that game beat.
Yeah. I want to say it's 10 or 15 hours, something like that.
That sounds about right. Yeah, it's not a terribly long game, which is one of the more appealing parts of it to me, anyway. Um, I should go back and play that again one of these days.
Beautiful game. Beautiful.
Yeah. I've been nothing too much to add about Spiritfarer. I've been kind of playing that as my cozy game. You know, I finally murdered somebody in it though.
Yeah, when I saw the notes, I was like, I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, murdering is not the appropriate term, but you know, that's my vain effort to you know, try to be funny. But you know, as you're aware, with these characters within the game, your job as Stella, who is the Spiritfarer, is to guide them across the celestial gate or something, to basically free their souls so that they can pass on to the next life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially throughout the game completing all these missions for a number of characters that are on your boat, and you're sailing the seven seas to get to them to a point where they're finally comfortable with saying, all right, I think I've accomplished what I needed to do in this world. I'm ready to move on. And I finally had that happen with the first character that I meet in the game, and it is something, man. They pull out all the stops on trying to make this as emotional a journey as possible, and in some ways, it even reminds me of Grease.
Okay.
So, you know, I kind of got stuck with where to go with this character, and like I was kind of hitting a wall with all of my characters. Like I needed materials that I didn't have access to progress. So I cheated a little. I looked at a walkthrough, and somebody suggested returning to this character's hometown. So I did that, and that's what triggered the eventual end of her quest. So you bring her back to the gate, and you have a conversation. She kind of like just opens up to Stella, gives her like this big hug, and the game, as I've mentioned, does these hugs really fucking well, and then crosses over to the final stages of the afterlife. And it's like this just beautiful moment. There's this gorgeous, depressing music. You know, it's very, very sweet, very emotional. And then once that happens, you're transported to this area where you're essentially jumping on platforms to activate like a constellation.
Mm-hmm.
And once you hit like these different stars in the constellation, it shows you in a very artistic, almost like a painting of a moment that the two of you had shared in real life when you were both still alive. And, you know, there's like one scene where you're both laughing after having drinks. There's like a family dinner. It doesn't go into details about what those events were. It just shows like the happy times together. And then ultimately, once you've done that, you get to the top of this, it's not really a mountain, but it's like this ethereal cliff that you're climbing. Once you get to the top of it, you encounter this owl. And I'm not sure what the purpose of the owl is quite yet. It kind of comes off as adversarial, but I haven't dove into the story further to really see where this is going.
Well, I can say that the constellation piece is absolutely Grease.
It reminded me of it instantly.
Yeah. That's an unforgettable part of that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different.
And I think by experiencing this part of the game, I've become more motivated to help the others finish their quests as well too. Because up to this point, it's primarily been, you know, collect 5 of this wood, collect 10 of this mineral, build a thing, feed these people. You know, it's been very fetch questy, kind of grindy. And now that I've upgraded my ship to a certain point, I've been able to, you know, when your character passes or sends one of them through the gate, you get this flower. It's a spirit flower. And that actually was what I needed to progress. So I'm kind of glad I was able to do that. Now the world has kind of opened up in a much larger fashion than it had before. And it's a really relaxing game. You know, I definitely feel like there's no way to fail it, no way to lose. But it's been an enjoyable experience. It's the kind of thing that, like, on my day off, I'll wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll make some coffee and I'll sit down and I'll start playing.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that here and there. Sometimes if I'm up early for work, I've seen you playing it on Discord. It kind of gives me a notification. So that's cool. I'm glad that it's kind of evolved into something a little bit different, at least with this murdering of the soul and just kind of giving you a little bit more incentive.
Yeah, it was very nice. I don't know that it's quite as emotional as a lot of people have made it out to be. There have been a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, it brought me to tears." I guess I'm just dead inside. I don't really know, but I mean, it definitely gave me the feels. I didn't cry, but I felt something, because those characters through dialogue really start to open up to you, and you kind of like learn about them, and they have personalities, and the way they talk to you and interact with you, those personalities come through pretty strongly. So I don't want to say you get attached, but there is a level of attachment to some degree. Sure.
That's cool. I mean, I'm liking that, there's way more emotion in games nowadays. And I find that, a lot of us are reading articles or comments where somebody's like, this game made me cry. And it's cool to see that because I don't think this is like an emo thing by any means. This is a notion that, not even a notion, it's a reality that games are becoming more emotionally sort of captivating for the player.
Well, it's an art form. And if you look at the movie industry, you have movies that are your popcorn flicks that, they're strictly there to entertain you with the largest explosions possible, the wittiest dialogue possible. And then you have those movies that are meant to make you feel something, whether it's, a love story or some kind of like, movie that touches on the larger scope of humanity. You look at music, right? Same thing. You have your heavy metal, I'm going to punch you in the fucking face kind of songs. And then you have your heartbreak love songs, and you have your dance songs, and you have your like deep introspective songs. And it's just taken gaming a lot longer to get to this point. And I don't know if it's just an evolution of the technology or it's the power of independent studios. Probably a little of both.
Yeah, I was just going to say probably both.
It's a lot different now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Very much so. I can't even really recall too many emotional moments I've had in gaming, when I was younger. I mean, I'm sure there were some, but it's way more prevalent now.
Yeah. And I kind of, part of me wonders if like those experiences were always there, and that like when we were in our 20s, we just weren't looking for them because, let's face it, when you're 20 years old, what entertains you is different than when you're 30 or 40 or 50, right?
That's massive.
Same as when you're a kid. Like your taste in food has changed drastically over the years. Your taste in movies and music has changed drastically over the years. It's just how we evolve as humans.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, were those the types of things that always existed and I just never realized it? Or has the medium of video games actually evolved? And I think there's some truth to both of those things as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that on a surface level, there are some games as far back as like even the NES where the developers were trying to do something, artistic and drastically different from everybody else, trying to tell a story that, made you feel like all these different emotions and got really invested in. And because it was 8-bit pixels, maybe it just didn't translate as well as it could have on, the same story told in 2020.
So that's such a huge point. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to go down that road. It's so true. Sometimes I wonder, not only just being part of this conversation, but just in general, like, was I supposed to feel a certain way, when I was playing Zelda Ocarina of Time?
Sure.
I probably was, but you're right. When you're at that age, you're thinking about, when am I going to put in the next Celeste pizza for one? And, am I going to watch like the Spice Network
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock at night. So, those are the things that cross your mind. When you're 35, you're telling people how you love avocado toast with cumin in it. And, you're attached to a game like Journey that, reminded you of like losing your father or something. So like, there's so many different mindsets that you have when you're younger versus when you're older. So I think that for you to say that it's both is so true. I think it's an age thing, and it's also like some of those emotional moments I think were there, but perhaps at the age that we were playing them, we didn't see them clearly.
And to kind of touch base on the technological side of things too, like, there's this resurgence of retro style games, right? That's all the rage right now. And I think about a game like Hyper Light Drifter, which came out a couple years ago. Gorgeous looking game, but very, very distinct 16-bit style. And originally I thought to myself, oh man, this game absolutely could have worked on a Super Nintendo. But then I started really thinking about the graphics and the control and how fast the game moved, and how fluid the stages loaded, and how everything just kind of came together in this one cohesive puzzle. And there's no way they could have worked on the Super Nintendo. It just technologically wasn't possible. Even if the art is based in pixels, there's so much more going on under the hood that I can't even begin to understand. And it's nice to see so many developers take this wonderful technology, which, I think at first glance, everybody's like, oh man, 3D games are the way to go. And then you throw down this 2D game with fucking pixel art and gorgeous graphics and just these awesome colors that you wouldn't normally think of going, like blues and greens and purples, and just make something like just incredibly artistic and vibrant and unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a long ramble, but
no, it's all right. It's relevant.
Yeah. So anyway, Spiritfarer is pretty cool. And if you have an opportunity to check it out, I would recommend it. As long as, like I said before in previous episodes, you kind of know what you're getting into. It is a little grindy. It is a little fetch questy, but it is relaxing. Just sit down and, either wake up or unwind for the evening before you go to bed and play the game for an hour, and you just come back to it when when you're ready for the next day.
Love it, man. Like I said before, there's a time and place for those games, and now is never a better time.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. We had Off-World Trading Company on our list. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I went on a tangent here.
Okay.
But I started dabbling with that on the computer a couple days ago. It's a real-time strategy game. It's been out for a while. It was free on the Epic Store a few months back, and I've always heard people talking about it, but I never really dove into it. So I finally installed it and started playing it, and it's kind of interesting to play a real-time strategy game that's not like two factions physically fighting each other with lasers and machine guns and shit. This entire game is all about economics, and basically you're mining Mars or Jupiter or the moon or whatever, and you're trying to make as much money and as much profit off of the minerals and gases that are there, while simultaneously feeding your colony and your own people. And there's a stock market where you can buy out other companies and do a hostile takeover, and it's really fun, and it's pretty crazy.
Wow, I'm actually watching some video on it, and it looks quite cool. I went onto the Steam powered website or whatever, and I'm just watching a video on mute here while you explain it. And this is neat. This looks kind of like a Drew game.
Oh, it totally is. It's a
spacey RTS.
Yep. Was it it's a DCG?
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's planets. So this is a nice blend of Mass Effect and Command and Conqueror, and this is an interesting blend.
I'm still doing the tutorials in the game, so I haven't really quite fully broken out on my own with it yet. I'm sure I'll have more to say at some point, but I'm enjoying it. I'm late to the party. What else is new? But it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Jesus, sorry. The volume just randomly turned on and it was very loud.
No problem.
No, this is cool, man. I love I wish I could get into a game like this. I shouldn't really say that because I haven't given them, RTS as like a real fair chance.
Yeah.
But I like that this is based on planets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's with any real-time strategy game, you're dealing with multitasking a number of things. When you're working on a RTS that involves, war, right? Tanks, infantry, things like that. Not only are you multitasking the economics of funding your army and building the army, but you're also multitasking the actual, attack and defense of your base and their base. So it adds like an extra layer. This removes that layer from the game. So you're only focusing on the economics of your base because that's the entire game. So not to make this like seem like it's not a complicated game, but there is one less layer to deal with. Might be worth checking out. It's fun. The tutorials are very thorough and there's a lot of personality to them, which is cool. You're kind of teaming up with different factions, and each faction has a strength and a weakness, and get an opportunity to kind of see what those are as you're learning the game. And they kind of break it down in sections, which is kind of nice. So, I still have a ways to go before I'm off on my own. I don't know if it has a campaign or if it's just strictly skirmishes, but so far it's been fun.
Good. It's it's always nice to have that quick little change of pace, even if it's for like an hour.
Yeah.
Just to kind of dip your toes in the water, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good because I can like just plop down for 15, 20 minutes and usually hammer out a map.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, man. Doom 64 Limited Run has announced that they are making physical copies of the game for the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. Did you see that?
I absolutely did. And it actually it woke me up a little bit. No pun intended. I was like, now this is cool. I think I saw that this morning that you shared it. And I love seeing like those older games get that nice treatment. And I think ultimately I'm starting to be a little bit more invested in this whole limited run games, thing that people are paying attention to, especially yourself.
They are churning out some quality stuff, and they're just taking all the money out of my pockets right now.
Dude, big time.
They're calling it the Classic Edition, right? And it's for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is the remastered version of Doom 64 that came out earlier this year, right? They did it as like a pre-order bonus for Doom Eternal. And I've played it on the Xbox. It's great. I haven't played it on the Switch yet. So I'm looking forward to getting this. It comes out on the Switch. Comes in a Nintendo 64 styled box. There's a commemorative retro cart, which is, I believe it's made out of metal. Now, it's non-functional, but it's the same size as the Nintendo 64 Doom 64 cart. There's a behind-the-scenes booklet that includes interviews. And then there's a 18-inch by 24-inch poster that is reversible and has images on both sides.
Yeah, I'm liking this package. I'm looking at the picture blown up right now.
It's only $55. I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive. Like I was thinking 100.
No, this is a nice little package. I love that N64 looking box.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I can't wait. And the good thing is, at least from my perspective, it's not a limited run, pardon the pun, but they're doing what they call an open pre-order, which means for 4 weeks they're going to collect as many orders as they can get, and they're just going to produce them, rather than only having, say, 3,000 available, and you have to be lucky enough to get through and actually get one. So I don't have to fight for that shit.
Yeah,
I hate that.
You absolutely need this.
Yeah, I'm buying it.
I mean, let me rephrase that. You absolutely should have this.
No, I need it. I need it.
No, I love that the commemorative non-functioning metal cartridge.
I was looking at the Twitter thread, and like somebody's like, "Will it fit my Nintendo 64?" And they're like, "Yes, but please do not put it in your Nintendo 64."
Yo, yeah. Interesting color too. It's got this nice bronzy looking quality. It's like sort of rose gold mixed with bronze. I think it's cool, man. This is a nice package. I like it when these kind of things are just done right. And I feel like
totally
limited run games, like you said, they're doing a bang up job here.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think about like ordering like a limited edition of a game or something with bonus things. Like, you want something cool, right, to come with it. And so often these companies will just throw out something with like, oh, DLC.
Yeah,
and that's great.
It's like a skin, skin packs and shit.
Yeah, like, come on, let's step it up a little.
Yeah, steel case that's made out of Reynolds wrap, shit like that.
Right. This is nice. Like, I'm excited about it.
This is nice because they kept it simple. Where it's like, here's a developer book, which is actually interesting. Like, I think people like that kind of stuff. At least I do. You've got your posters, which some people might be like, well, I'm not 16, so I'm not going to tack these up. But if you do it right, you can frame those nicely. You and I know about that. And then with the non-functioning metal cartridge, that's fucking cool. Then you get the limited box that looks like an N64 box. That's also really cool. And then that's it. They kept it simple. Like, I think that's a nice little package. It's just bad when, you get some weird statue that looks like shit. And you can't
put it anywhere. It doesn't fit anywhere.
Doesn't fucking fit anywhere. You got a weird skin pack. You get your bullshit steel case. You get some kind of, like, I don't know. I just hate bullshit limited editions. Most of the time they've been better over the past couple of years, but there are still some that are just trash. Yeah.
By the way, apparently this does come on the PlayStation 4 in the Classic Edition as well too. I didn't see a version of that at first. I thought they were only doing the Classic Edition for the Switch, but they are doing both. So that's cool. Good.
Yeah. No, I really like this. I'm trying to remember now. You have Doom 64, right?
I do. Okay.
Because I know you talked about this recently. Were you playing it? I'm just trying to remember here.
So I have the Nintendo 64 version, and then I have the remastered version on the Xbox, which came with Doom Eternal. I did start it on the Xbox. I never finished it. I decided to try to get through Doom Eternal, and then Doom Eternal was hell, and we know how that went. The Nintendo 64 version I never finished because at the time when I bought it, I was still using my CRT. And that game is incredibly dark, and the CRT wouldn't go any brighter. So I literally could not see what I was doing. So I kind of abandoned it from that perspective.
I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And we also watched the intro video on the show, actually. I think we watched it live, and that was kind of cool.
So cool. It's so cool.
It is cool. It's like that's sort of, it's a space war.
Super epic.
Yes. Very cool, man. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I can't wait. It goes on sale, I think, next week or the week after. Definitely gonna buy it.
That's one of those where you like take the day off just to like wait for it to arrive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like I've done that so many times and gotten burned because the delivery has always come like late in the day.
Burned or stabbed in the back?
Yes.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm still laughing about that internally. I love you, Jimmy. I haven't even met you, but I love you, man.
He's a cool dude.
I can't wait to have him on the show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more topics we want to hit. We're already pressing up in the hour mark because I'm rambling today. I apologize.
No worries. No worries.
Xbox. So we were prophets last week, and we predicted that the Xbox S and the Xbox Series S, Series X, we predicted their price points. The day after, they confirmed it. $299 and $499 respectively. They have made changes to Game Pass. It is now including EA Play, which is a ton of Electronic Arts games for no additional charge. They have a reasonably priced system. It's a foot in the door in the next generation. What do you think?
I have a lot of questions. Today I actually took the time to educate myself on everything Xbox because, as everyone knows, I am a bit of a Sony fanboy. So with that being said, I watched a video today. It was actually quite interesting. It was a guy that was unboxing a Mach S and a Mach X. And I think Microsoft actually like shipped these Mach systems to him because he's like a huge YouTuber. And it's a really good video. I actually should really share it in Chit Chat. And I learned a lot about both systems. I looked at the specs, and I pretty much know the difference between the two of them finally now. And I learned about the payment plan that you can do. Like I said, the specs, the pricing. And
yeah, that's right. The payment plan. I keep forgetting about that. That's an awesome deal too.
Yeah. So when I read about that, I was like, this is interesting. Not something that I would do, but that's just me. But I think that's great for people that are A, don't have the money to cough up immediately, and B, may just not want to.
Right.
So I think that's a nice option. And I think there's a lot of payment plans that do exist in the world now. So it's nice that, we're seeing that in gaming, because gaming is not a cheap hobby. But
it's not the first time that Microsoft has done something like this too. They did have a similar offer for the Xbox One at one point or another. I don't remember the details on it, but it was pretty cut and dry. It included Xbox Live Gold and it included the system. Game Pass at the time didn't exist, so I don't believe that was part of it. But it seemed to work out well for some people. I don't know anybody personally that took advantage of it, but the nice thing about this is if you do the math, it's actually the same price or a little bit cheaper than if you just bought the stuff outright. Now, that's not counting finding deals on Game Pass, which are plenty. But if you were to pay for Game Pass outright, they're not charging you any interest on it or anything. It's just straight up, this is what it is. This is how much you're going to pay. It's going to cost you the same whether you buy it outright or not.
Okay, that's very cool. I actually did not know that.
Yeah, they're not taking advantage of people. It's not like a credit card where there's an interest rate.
Good. That's actually unusual. As we all know, there's usually always a catch.
Now, whether or not you put it on your credit card and don't pay the bill, well, that's a whole nother
there's
story.
that too. Yeah.
But from Microsoft's perspective, it's just a straight transaction.
That's cool. Here's what I like. So I like that there are two iterations, just like the PS5. As far as we know, the PS5 is coming out with the digital and non-digital at the same time. I would imagine, but I like that Xbox is doing that. And it's giving gamers the choice of having one or the other. And what I like about that is both, now that I know more about both systems, they're quite different. Spec-wise,
Yes.
they're on par in a lot of different areas. But what's nice is the S is completely different in terms of shape, style. The X looks like a totally different system. They look like two different systems.
Right.
And I like that because it gives the gamer or the consumer rather more of a reason to choose. I don't think it's a difficult decision is what Microsoft has done here. Is they've made the decision pretty easy. You want power and you want something that's perhaps a little bit more future-proof, just get the X. If you want to really expand on things. But if you're just kind of an average gamer and you want something that's a little bit more minimalistic and smaller and you're a digital person, it just makes so much sense to get the S. And if you're okay with it looking kind of like a turntable, I know there's a lot of people that are comparing it to a turntable. We talked about the ductless air conditioning system. If you're okay with that kind of stuff, get the S. But what I like is there is that clear difference for people to make that decision. So,
and it's a significant difference too. I think what they were trying to do is to appeal to their hardcore fan base with the X, and then appeal to maybe those people that are primarily Nintendo Switch players or PS4 players with the S. So for somebody like you, for example, I think the Xbox Series S would be more appealing because you don't have to pay $500 to get in the door. You're getting access to these games. It's all digital, which I know you love. And you'll have something that's, reasonably affordable. So if you had the money to buy both systems, you could go all out on your PS5 and then get the lower end model of the Xbox and have access to everything.
Yeah, I think what'll happen is I'm certainly a little bit more open to the whole situation than I was before. I think what'll happen is if a lot of our friends go the Xbox route and there are some really quality games that I feel like I'm missing out on in terms of multiplayer and just overall camaraderie, then I think the S will definitely get it's going to get bought, Drew.
Gonna get bought.
It's going to get bought, guy. But if there isn't good quality games, and I'm going to give it a fair chance. It's not like I'm going to give it like 2 months. I'm like, oh, the system's trash. There's no games. We all know it takes time for those quality games to come out. So if that happens, then yeah, I'm absolutely going to consider it. But if that doesn't happen for like a substantial amount of time, it's probably not going to get bought. However,
here's the thing to keep in mind. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you have to consider that this system, right from day one, is backwards compatible with the entire Xbox One library, most of the Xbox 360 library, and a large chunk of the original Xbox library. So from day one, you have access to hundreds of games.
That is nice. That is nice because we all know, I think for the most part, that some of these launch titles are very hit or miss. So if that's the case again, I suppose that at least the people that are buying an S or an X are going to have that option of playing some of those older games while they wait for the bangers to come out.
That's my rationale for buying the Xbox over the PS5. And I've talked to a lot of people about this since this news broke, a few people at work, and we've been chatting on Discord. And with the exception of, I think, Joe is the only person that's like, come on, Sony, step it up. Because like he seems like he's pretty much on board with the Xbox at this point. But everybody else that I've spoken to, they are 100% PS5 day one, but they see this Xbox Series S as something that's attractive as like a secondary console.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we could see is an influx of people buying the PS5 day one, irregardless of what games come out on it. And then kind of that trickle effect where people are like, hey man, maybe this isn't such a bad idea to get the Series S after all.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool about Joe is he usually plays a very neutral stance with this kind of stuff, whereas I'm a lot less neutral. He's definitely a PlayStation guy at heart, but he won't hesitate to pick up really anything because he's just an all-around gamer. So with that being said, I'm curious, and we're going to talk about this in a moment, what PS5 is going to bring to the table on Wednesday.
Me too.
Because I think it's time. We need to learn more. We got that hardware spec rundown that put everybody to sleep. But what we need now is we need probably some more gameplay. We also need pricing. We need a release window or a date because Xbox has given it to us. So PS5 needs to really deliver, I think, this time. Give us some juicy deets, Sony.
Yeah. I mean, I for the longest time, I was still kind of up in the air as to which one I was going to pick up first. It was really just within the past month that I decided to definitively lock in my desire to own an Xbox. And really it boils down to the backwards compatibility and how many games I already own for the ecosystem. I have a lot of questions about the PS5. I know they keep saying that the quote vast majority of PS4 games are going to play with the PS5, but that doesn't mean shit, right? Sony, I feel like they have tried and failed to support backwards compatibility time and time again. They just don't do it well, and that's okay if the rest of the system delivers. The PS4 knocked it out of the park with the games, right? Those exclusives, holy fucking shit, man.
Yeah, they were fucking really good.
They killed it. And the PS5 seems like it's lining up to do the same thing again, but like none of these games are launch games with the exception of, I think, Spider-Man.
And like Demon Souls, I think.
Maybe.
And that's a maybe.
But that, I mean, like, I know you're excited for Demon Souls, but let's be honest, it's a game you've already played.
Oh, yeah, believe me, dude. I'm very excited for that remake, but I'm absolutely part of the camp of people that are like, yeah, but I want new games. And that's exactly where I'm at. Like, I joked around with Tom, and I think you, when the PS5 was announced and Demon Souls was announced, I was like, at this point, I'm getting a PS5 for a game that came out in 2009 that's going to get remade. Which is not great. It's great for me because I love the game, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be an adult about it and be like, all right, well, Sony, you got to bring more to the table, man. Like, I mean, that That show was good, but everybody knows my feelings about those things. Like, I'm not as impressed as I used to be, because things
Yeah.
are being handled differently this year because of COVID. Totally respect that. But what we need from PlayStation at this point, we need way more details, and we need to know for sure what is going on with the backwards compatibility. How far is it going to go? Give us maybe some game titles. Give us a number of how many it might be backwards compatible. People need a little bit more to grasp, because right now we're looking at a cool looking system and we're looking at a cool looking controller, and that's kind of it.
Right. And with COVID being so prevalent right now and causing the industry to kind of, flip upside down, we're not going to have all these launch games coming out. So that backwards compatibility is more important than ever, because if I can fire up God of War on my PS5 on day one, maybe I'll skip buying a game, because, those launch titles are probably going to suck. And unless Spider-Man is on the shelf the same day as the PS5 is, which, as far as I'm aware, it isn't, there's no other game that they've announced that I'm interested in that has been confirmed as a launch game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the launch games are. I have no idea, because you can't find that information out. They haven't confirmed anything.
No, it's unfortunate. Things are definitely just late this year.
Yeah.
We know why. And like I said, it's respectable, but I think as gamers, we're just not really used to that. We're used to knowing a little bit more, and things have been, it's been a lot of smoke and mirrors lately. So again, kind of leading into our next discussion, I really hope that on Wednesday, when PS5 is going to be pulling off this showcase event, I'm going to be so mad, dude. If they just start showing like more gameplay of like just some other stuff that we've kind of seen before, and they drop like just a little teaser of like some details, I'm going to be pissed.
So, I mean, like, what do they need to do to convince you to purchase a system on day one? And what can they do wrong that will turn you to the dark side?
Okay. I want to know price. I want to know release date. This is ideal world. Okay. So price, release date. I want to see the user interface in action. I want to hear about more games and clarification on what's coming out day one or like week one or whatever. I'd like to understand how the system is going to perform in English and not in IT jargon. Something that
and not in Mark Cerny.
No, not in Mark Cerny. Love you, Mark. I think you're a genius, and that's pretty clear that you are. But I think that we need this to be explained much better, and not for simple-minded folks, but just for people that are educated and want to understand how this system's going to perform. I think Xbox has done a pretty good job at showing the internal components of the system. I like their marketing of how like it's all kind of like broken apart and then they kind of shrink it back down together again. So that's I think what I want to see. More details. Let's hear about the controller more. Let's hear about the system. Show us the back of it. Show us just like how this thing is gonna run. And like I said, that price and release date and launch titles, I think that's the most important thing. If we can get that, I think you're going to see like a surge in hype, because then people are going to be like, all right. Oh, and then also give us like a pre-order window. Like tell us about quantity levels. Tell us like, is this going to be something that's attainable day one? Is it going to be a challenge?
Right.
Just give us some good quality info. I think that's ultimately, if I had to break it down simply, that's what I want to see.
And if they don't deliver on any of that stuff, or you don't like what you see, would you consider picking up an X or an S at this point?
I think it would take a serious crash and burn for me to make that decision so quickly, which is doubtful, but I suppose...
So you would rather basically just back off and hold?
Yeah, probably what I would do is I would be pissed, and I'd probably express that pissed offness on the next episode, for sure. And then after that, I'd probably simmer down and be like, all right, Sony's still got it in them. They're just taking their time. And I'd be playing that game that we all do where we sort of slip into denial and we start saying things where we're like, well, I mean, they got to take their time. And it's like, when you say like, oh, we really needed that rain. It's like, did we though? It's like the same game that we all play.
To their credit, I feel like Sony has traditionally kind of flopped on releases and come through in the long run. Like they're not sprinters, they're marathon runners.
It's a good point. That is a good point. Sometimes they come in with that blockbuster out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden people are just like jumping ship from whatever console, or they're finally jumping to just a different ship. So I'm confident that this showcase event should hopefully be better. Wednesday couldn't come soon enough. I don't care if I'm working or not. I will be watching that live.
I'm so disappointed I'm not going to be able to see it live. Because what time does it air? It's
let me see. I got to pull it up.
Is it 1 p.m. Pacific? Because if it's 1 p.m. Pacific, I might be home. Let
me just quickly see here. I know it's always in a fucking different time format because it's usually in California or something. All right. 1 p.m. PDT, 9 p.m.
Pacific.
BST, and then 10 p.m. CEST.
Yeah. So that's about 4 o'clock our time, 4 p.m.
Okay, that should work. My calendar is usually pretty open.
I won't get to. I'll probably be sitting in traffic, so I won't get to see the very beginning of it, but I should be able to partake in most of it.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, and I mentioned this in our notes. It looks like there's a black version coming out.
So I watched that video and I looked at that picture and I disagree. I think it's just shading. I think they just did some clever lighting to make it look like dramatic.
I mean, that's possible. I'm watching it now because I don't think I've even watched the whole thing.
It's just glamour shots of the system.
You know what? That's a good point. If you go, oh yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, if you go back and you kind of mess with the timestamps, you'll see it kind of fade from dark to a little bit of white.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that's fine. You know, it's not like the color is huge. I'd like to see a black version.
Well, eventually there will be one.
I'm sure. It's so Sony to have black. So, but yeah, I just don't. I swear to God, dude, if they show more of Jackson Daxter or whatever the fuck that game is, and they're just like, oh my God, it's like Jeff Keighley and shit. I'm gonna lose my shit, dude. I think it's a good looking game, but it's
not for you.
It's not for me, and I don't want to sound selfish and be like, oh, you know, this is bullshit. It's a bullshit show. I don't think it's just me. If they do one of those kind of shows where it is kind of bullshitty and it's just kind of, you know, regurgitated stuff, I think a lot of people are going to be in that same camp as me where they're going to be like, you know, walking home with their heads down. So I really hope that's not the case. I don't think it will be. I don't think it will, but fingers crossed.
Well, I hope you get what you're looking for, man. I really do, because you know, I'm excited about the PlayStation 5 as well. I want one. I'm going to buy one, probably not this year, but I will own one of them at some point, because at the end of the day, man, like, I love video games, and I don't care what system it's on. I want to go where the best games are. I have loyalty towards the Xbox brand, but it's not like indivisible, undivided loyalty, you know. And like we put up on our Twitter today as well too. I threw up a post saying like, which team are you on? And I put in parentheses, you could be team both. And you know, most of the responses that I got were from people that wanted both systems.
Yeah, you know, it's I think this time with the consoles that we're seeing, people are leaning more in that direction. You know, we're getting to a point where, you know, even the PS4, Xbox One, Xbox One X, and then the Switch are so good that there's so many people that have all three, or they at least have two. And I think that notion of deciding on just one is still a thing, but it's a little less of a thing, because with these consoles especially, they are bringing a lot to the table. Even with the lack of details that we have for the PS5, there's still enough there where people are you know, considering both.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting year, man. I think with as crappy as this year has been, and my God, has it been shit.
It has.
I hope that gaming might be the thing, as so sort of entitled as that sounds. I hope that gaming is the thing that kind of wraps up the year and at least gives us something that, you know, we can enjoy at home where we're safe.
I think for a lot of people, gaming has been that up to this point. So
yeah, it's important. You know, it's an important time, I think, for gaming. And even though there's some serious matters that we have to pay attention to, there's also leisure that's important for sanity. And I think gaming right now is so huge, and it could explode, man. It's going to be interesting taking our show into the future and beyond, because I think we're going to have some pretty interesting topics to talk about with how the industry could change forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wednesday's going to be a fun day. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be in Discord either mumbling and grumbling or raving. It's going to be one or the other.
Hopefully it's raving, although I am very curious to see you mumble and grumble too, because you do it so well.
Yes, I do. I'm such a crotchety bastard sometimes.
Oh, God. Anyway, let's wrap it up. What do you think, man?
Yeah, let's wrap it.
All right, folks. Thanks again for tuning in to this awesome show. Find us on the web at WDGRPodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at WDGR Podcast. Will, how can they find you?
Sure. You can go to SoundCloud.com, and my username is Will_Gear.
And you can find me at Science Storm. And that's it, folks. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you.